Hello and welcome to Rev Sports. I'm Gargi Raut, and joining me today is Bharat Ramraj. And in the midst of a busy Duleep Trophy season, the India versus Bangladesh squad has been announced, and it is right on your screen. Rohit Sharma is obviously leading Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, Sarfraz Khan, Rishabh Pant, Dhruv Jurel, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Mohammad Siraj, Akashdeep, Jasprit Bumrah, and Yash Dayal. So there you have your India versus Bangladesh Test squad. Bharat, what are your initial impressions of this squad?
Yeah, the interesting name, as you read, the last name is, I guess it is just Dayal. He bowled reasonably well here in Bengaluru in the Duleep Trophy, especially from round the wicket. He was getting a few deliveries to straighten and troubling the batters. So that's an interesting selection that shows that India, if not, obviously, is not set to not play in that against Bangladesh in the playing 11. You don't expect him to be there, at least that tells you for Australia, India looking at a left arm pace bowler, so that is why they've got Yash Dayal. I think that's one of the interesting names. Obviously, Jasprit Bumrah is there, and Rishabh Pant is making comeback with the Test squad. Otherwise, it looks like most of the players pick themselves. Yeah, Akashdeep is there. He bowled brilliantly here in Bangalore. He was down on pace, mind you, but he got seam movement. He got consistent seam movement. He was hitting the seam nicely. So yeah, he might get into that playing 11. Who knows?
Shomik, what about you? What are your initial impressions of the team? And, the talk of the town has been Akashdeep's inclusion. So what do you have to say about that as well?
Gargi, I would slightly differ. I mean, the team selection, it is along the expected lines, but I would slightly differ. Is the top of the town should be Yash Dayal. A little over a year ago, he was clobbered for five sixes in a row in an IPL game. And how life has changed for him. He got three wickets today in the second innings in the Duleep Trophy. I think it's a left field selection. They wanted to have a left arm fast bowler. Left arm, he is not a fast bowler. He is a medium pacer basically. Uh, uh, the contest was between him, Khalil Ahmed, and Arshdeep Singh. So the selectors have picked him. Maybe he will not get a game there, but someone who was at its lowest about 14 months ago is going to be in the test squad. It's a very significant thing, and it speaks volumes of the player's character and the resolve, the way he has bounced back.
Yeah, absolutely. Bharat, when you look at especially the bowling lineup of this squad, what do you think? Do you think this is a well-rounded bowling lineup?
Obviously, India have such gun spinners. I don't need to say that. You look at those spinners. Ravindra Jadeja, Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav. Obviously, Akshar Patel didn't exactly have the best of games in Anantapur. His performance has not been that great in the recent past, even in the England series. They took him for runs. So he's been on a downward slide as far as spin bowling is concerned, but his batting has been on an upward curve. He's been batting really upward curve. His batting has been really good, but spinners are so good. And then you have someone like Jasprit Bumrah in the pace attack, and Akash Deep is bowling well. Yeah, you can tell that Mohammad Siraj has been slightly up and down. He took only six wickets in that series against England or four tests, barring that one superb performance at Cape Town in South Africa too. He was kind of up and down at Centurion, so his bowling performance has been slightly down. But considering the spin attack and with Jasprit Bumrah also in the squad, yeah, that's a gun bowling lineup.
Devashish Sen has just joined us as well. Devashish, what are your first impressions of this squad?
I think it's a very decent squad. Means obviously, barring the exception of Shreyas Iyer, I think most of the players would automatically pick themselves. And the biggest talking point has to be Rishabh Pant making a comeback after 21 months. And it is good to see selectors going in for a left arm pacer in Yash Dayal, who has done reasonably well in recent past, and so there was a bit of competition between Khalil, Arshdeep, and Yasdel, and when it comes as a surprise to me. But then obviously, and then with the big test match seasons coming up, it's better to try someone like Yasdel in the series against Bangladesh.
Yeah, I'll just add a point to it. I think
Yeah.
Agarkar also had come here for one of the days. I saw him while returning from the stadium. I think what has happened in the style is he can go round the wicket and get the ball to straighten. He was doing it consistently in this game in Duleep Trophy, where Khalil Ahmed, when he went round the wicket, it was only coming back into the right hander. Maybe that's what the selector saw in that style, because his another bowler doesn't swing it back like Khalil Ahmed from over the wicket. It doesn't swing it back much. He only moves it away, but he went round the wicket and got it to straighten enough times, and that was really troubling the Indian batters. That's a skill he has. I think that is why he got got ahead of Khalil Ahmed and Arshdeep Singh at the other when in Anantapur in pace friendly conditions. He got just 2 wickets, so that is why I think he went behind in the pecking order.
And Devashish,
Gargi, I would like to add
yeah.
something. Gargi, I would like to add something because Devashish very rightly mentioned Shreyas Iyer. Basically, it was between Shreyas Iyer and Sarfraz Khan. Now that the big guns are back in the England series, the big guns are not there. Virat was not there. Gale didn't play the last 4 tests. First of all, I apologize to our listeners and viewers for the fact there's a concert going on right next year, and if the noise is disturbing our audience, I apologize for that. But Sarfraz, the way after being handed his test debut, the way he played, and also the way he played in this Duleep Trophy game, he had to be picked.
Absolutely.
But,
Devashish, you
but it will be a huge debate whether Sarfaraz will make it to that playing 11, because Rohit and Yashasvi will open, followed by Shubman, then Virat. Then who goes in at number 5? Means I reckon that KL Rahul, with his experience, will be preferred over Sarfaraz. Maybe I am not. I'm proven wrong. But then KL Rahul, after the innings he played today in Duleep Trophy, means he looks to me to have a slight edge given his experience, at least for the first test in Chennai. I may be wrong, but I think it's the team management will go in for a bit of experience in KL Rahul.
Bharat, Devashish brought up Rishabh Pant's return. Rishabh Pant's comeback after a long, long time and back into Test cricket. His forte is something that we all love watching Rishabh Pant in. Uh, what are your expectations from his comeback? What have you seen so far, and what are you looking forward to when it comes to Rishabh Pant?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
played
obviously.
well. Okay,
Bharat,
No,
you
no,
go
I
ahead.
want
Bharat,
to.
you go ahead.
you can go ahead. Okay. Yeah, see, I watched him. Sorry, but I thought it was B. I'm sorry for that. I watched him in the Duleep Trophy in the second innings. He batted really well. He looked like he was back to his best. Yeah, he had a couple of chances. One reverse scoop went between KL Rahul and Dhruv Jurel. That was Dhruv Jurel's mistake. Actually, he should have gone for that catch. But otherwise, it was a typical Rishabh Pant innings. Scoop, reverse scoop, playing across the line in between. He played those delightful drives. So and the pull shot. So Rishabh Pant, there was a quintessential Rishabh Pant inning. So I think at least in Test cricket, I don't think he has lost any of his ability. Yeah, you can talk about his T20 game, which has not been that good and all that, but in Test cricket, he looked good here in the Duleep Trophy in conditions where the ball did quite a bit of the scene. So
Yeah,
also he
Devashish.
played Kuldeep Yadav really well. So that again tells you again, even in spin bowling, his form is pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously both Rishabh and Dhruv Jurel was outstanding in the Duleep Trophy match. Especially some of the catches they took means was simply stunning. And the way he batted means we are used to watching Rishabh Pant bats the way he has batted in the second innings. and that reverse sweep of Khalil that went for a boundary. And this is what we associate Rishabh Pant with. Means and what it does to that Indian Test batting lineup now is that it will keep the opposition bowlers always on their toes, because they know that India have a Rishabh Pant in the middle order who can just change the complexion of a match anytime. And given his exploits in Australia and England, so I think it does adds that balance in that side, especially in test format as well. So it's great news for Indian cricket to see him making a comeback after 21 months.
Shomik, what about you? A few words on Rishabh Pant. What are you expecting? Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, Gargi, Rishabh Pant, when he is fit, he walks in. Irrespective of whether he has scored a half century or whatever it is, if you would have bagged a pair, he would have been picked. So Rishabh Pant is very, very important. We are aiming Australia. Bangladesh, mind you, Bangladesh would be going to be a one hell of a series, because Bangladesh are very confident after winning 2-0 in Pakistan. They have a very well-rounded bowling attack. Now they have a fast bowler who can hit 150 kilometers per hour. They have a very good experienced spin bowlers. But still, India will prevail because India have better quality players, experienced players. Our main aim is the 5 test series down under in the winter, and in that case, Rishabh Pant is going to play a pivotal role in that series. Unless Rishabh is firing on all cylinders in that series, India are not going to win that. So Rishabh Pant is one of the most valuable players in the squad, and it's irrespective of his domestic scores. He is match fit. He has got a feel. He has got a feel in the second innings. He scored runs. That will augur well for Indian cricket.
Sorry, I was on mute. Shomik, you were right. Your music, the background music is actually very loud. We're not able to hear you properly. So we'll try to get Boria instead on the show. But if you want to leave, you're free to do so. But Bharat, I wanted to talk about Sarfraz Khan next, because he's someone who's young, who's done well, and someone who fans have waited for a long time to see in the Indian jersey. So are you excited to watch him?
Yeah, he's a kind of player who can really irritate the opposition. It happened in the Duleep Trophy as well. He came out to bat at some 22 for 3. Couple of shots, couple of authentic shots he played, couple of orthodox shots he played, a drive, cut. Then suddenly he was just using his hands, very little footwork. He was using his hands and guiding Khalil Ahmad through the slip cordon, through the gully region, through the third man region, and really frustrating the opposition bowlers so much so that Rishabh Pant also played a part in that. Both of them took on Khalil Ahmad so much that Khalil Ahmad started exchanging some words with these two guys. So he's a kind of player who can really frustrate the opposition. Yeah, Avesh Khan came into picture and really troubled him with hard length and got him out. Maybe in Australian conditions, against in different conditions, different climes, he might struggle a bit, but against the turning ball, I think he's someone who's really going to befuddle the opponent. So it will be interesting to see his Bangladeshi spinners, because the couple of decent spinners, obviously Sakib Al Hasan, Mehdi, and all these guys are there. So if in case Sarfraz is going to play, how will he tackle those Bangladeshi spinners and Nahid Rana, that fast bowler, because Sarfraz has had his troubles against pace bowling here too. Vish Khan troubled him and got him out on both occasions.
What about you, Debashish? What are you expecting out of Sarfaraz this time around?
Yeah, obviously, if Sarfaraz is picked ahead of KL Rahul, obviously, and the fact that he was in that test squad, he did play that last series against England, so automatically he should be in that playing 11. But given that KL Rahul is also now available and he's in the side, so you never know what the team management goes in with. But then definitely, as Bharat rightly said, means with Sarfaraz, runs will come. Runs will come no matter which way. With both Rishabh Pant and Sarfaraz, they play those unorthodox shots. Means there will be runs. Means there will be no passage of time where there will be a dull moment. It will be full of entertainment whenever when Sarfraz and Rishabh Pant are batting in the middle. But having said that, obviously Bangladesh will be a tough opponent. Means given the way they performed, as Bharat rightly said, they had someone like their pace bowling and spin bowling are very decent. Means if you look at the likes of Naid Rana, Shariful Islam, Taskin Ahmed, Mustafizur Rahman, and then you have those two spinners in Mehdi Hasan, Miraj, and Shakib Al Hasan. They have a very well balanced attack. Uh, some uh, for the first time, I think Bangladesh is coming with a very well balanced attack and for a test series against India. And given their batters are also scored in Pakistan, so the so Indians, that's the reason Jasprit Bumrah has been picked. Means, one would have hoped that Jasprit Bumrah might be rested for this series against Bangladesh, but now it is clearly evident that Jasprit Bumrah is now in the squad, because they feel that Bangladesh will be a tough opponent in this time round.
Yeah. And Boria has joined us all the way from Paris in the midst of the Paralympics to talk about cricket. So, this is what you get at Rev Sports. But, Boria, what are your impressions of this squad? And of course, Yash Dayal, when you think of this maiden call up now, when you think of his journey from those 5 6s to now this.
Yeah, I mean, two things here. One, see, cricket can't leave you. I mean, if you are an Indian, you will have to follow cricket as like football. I mean, I was following the updates that Devashish and Rahul were giving for ISL as well. But cricket is one thing that will now sort of take center stage with the Test series, eventually culminating with the 5 match Test series in Australia. That is where all our eyes are going to be. But more importantly, I think Bangladesh will be a pretty tough opponent. If you see the way they have played against Pakistan, they will come with a lot of confidence. For the first time in some months, and after the political instability in Bangladesh, this sport can get that country together, which it has already. You could see Mustafizur, for example. Some of the other players, sort of, they were talking about the political instability, about people who've lost their lives. So Bangladesh, if you allow them a spinning wicket, they will come and haunt you. They'll come and bite you. And India doesn't play spin that well. That's a problem with the Indian batting. I'm looking forward to Yash Dayal because clearly the mindset is that left arm. We were thinking about Ashdeep Singh. We were talking about who's that left armer who's going to be there. Because in Australia, for no other reason, even if for that foot mark that left armer will create for Ravichandran Ashwin, that is going to be critical. And Sachin Tendulkar used to say this to me every time that look, we will get Zahir Khan to bowl from that one particular area, create that foot mark, and unleash Harbhajan Singh.
I think there might be a little internet issue, which is, uh, it happens when you're in a foreign country, but we'll try to get him back. We'll try to get Boria back. Until then, Bharat, this is something I was about to ask Boria, and like Boria as well said, that you can't rule out Bangladesh. Okay,
Sorry.
Boria's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that is the point that with Yash Dayal, it's going to be that. And firstly, he will hit the deck. He's a tall guy, so you will use some of these things. And I think this is not so much for Bangladesh or even New Zealand. They will check what they have in Yash Dayal for Australia, because that's where you will need these fellows. In India, you will get an Ashwin, a Kuldeep, and an Akshar Patel, and you will win. So that's expected. But Yash Dayal is important for that Australia tour. I'm also interested in Rishabh Pant because, frankly, I mean, that Indian middle order is fragile. Shreyas Iyer was never a test match batsman on moving decks. He looked suspect to me. Against the short ball, he has forever been suspect. There's Trisha. So these are important considerations. And on wickets where there will not be that much of movement, lateral, Rishabh Pant has been fantastic in the last two series in Australia. I absolutely think he will be that magic pill that India needs. So overall, they are going to try out a few things against Bangladesh, and it will be important how this team shapes up. But Bangladesh will not be a runaway. I mean, a kind of opponent who you can steamroll. They're a decent team.
Because you bring that up, there's a question that I want to ask you. When you look at this squad, do you still have a doubt that India doesn't have a solid batter who can tackle spin?
Rohit Sharma is the best against spin, according to me. Rishabh Pant is pretty good as well. I mean, Virat Kohli has had his issues against spin in the past, but and that's why even think about Nathan Lyon and Rishabh Pant and that battle, and how Pant had won that battle, despite being an off spinner on a deck where there were cracks and the ball was going here there. Pant actually won that battle. So in many ways, you need a Rishabh Pant in that middle order. Yeah, Bharat, what is your thoughts? I mean, you agree that India is sort of somewhat suspect against spin?
Yeah, sir. We saw that even I saw that even the series against we saw that even in the series against Sri Lanka, they were really struggling against spin bowling. Virat Kohli himself, you mentioned, he was struggling in spin bowling. He has had his issues against left arm spin. If you ask experts how to tackle spin bowling, they will tell there's no real funda. It simply comes down to you picking the length. If you pick the length early, then you play late. So basically, somewhere Virat Kohli perhaps wasn't picking the length early against left arm spin, and he was groping for the ball. He was kind of playing off balance. But interestingly, the one point I add is yes, Rohit Sharma and Rishabh Pant are pretty good players of spin. Other very good player of spin, at least good player of spin in the Indian setup is Akshar Patil. If you notice the way he played against Australia, the way he played against England, even in the Sri Lanka series when others were getting beaten, he scored 20s and 30s. I'm not saying he's an excellent player or is a great player of spin, but in this lineup, I think he's perhaps India's third best player of spin. But unfortunately, in Anandpur, as we saw, uh, he has had his problems with his bowling. His bowling has not been great in the recent past, so I don't know whether he will get into that playing 11. Just one point I want to add about Yash Dayal. See, yeah, I agree that he was smashed around in the IPL last year, but his FC record, his first class record is very decent. I won't say it's great. It's averaged about 28 in first class cricket compared to Arshdeep's 32. So he's done decently in first class cricket. As I noted, the one point I think the selectors noticed here was he was going round the wicket to every right-handed batsman and getting it to straighten. And it took KL Rahul's technical excellence to keep him out on the final day. So that means Yash Dayal must have bowled really well because KL Rahul had to bring his A game to really keep him out on this pitch, which was doing a bit of the same.
And I think the other point about Yash Dayal is his temperament. If he could do what he did against MS Dhoni, in Australia they'll come hard. The Australians will absolutely attack you, will sort of pummel you. At times you will be under pressure. The crowd is huge. In Melbourne, for example, you have an 80,000, 85,000 Boxing Day. In Sydney, you have a 40, 45,000 New Year Day Test match crowd. So you will have serious crowds. So against such crowds, you will have to have solid temperament. The crowd will heckle you in front of Bay 13. They'll abuse you. They'll start throwing things at you. These are usual things in Melbourne. Devashish has been to Melbourne 25 times. He'll know. The Australian crowd is a hostile crowd in Test match cricket. Not so much in ODIs. They fancy Test cricket. Boxing Day is ritual. New Year Test is ritual. And that's where also coming into that spin bowling point. In Adelaide, for example, Nathan Lyon will come into play. On day 5, Nathan Lyon will come in. For day 4, he will come into play. You need, and he will come with his classical action and get the ball to move, zip around. And India needs to play well because otherwise sleep gone. We've seen that in the past against Nathan Lyon. So these are important things you have to build from now. If you have to play the WTC final, I'm still sort of quite confident that against Bangladesh and New Zealand will be fine because it's home test matches. But Australia, you have to get your A game out there in Australia in all the test matches to be able to stand a chance against Pat Cummins and that team.
Absolutely. And looking towards the comments, we have a few. Devashish, if I were to combine two of them, a lot of people are asking why no Iyer and why no Mushir. Mushir, do you think it's a bit early to add in the India
Yeah,
squad as well?
it's a bit early to get in a Mushir Khan. Means obviously, yes, he did play. He already scored a double hundred. He already scored 100. Now the 181 he scored in this Duleep Trophy match. Yes, he showed tremendous, great temperament application, but then it's too early. Means I in fact I tweeted as well that why not get in a Mushir Khan in that squad of 16 at least to groom him. Obviously, he cannot get into that playing 11, but at least to groom him, we can rub the shoulders, being in the dress, sharing the dressing room with the likes of Virat and Rohit. But then on one good thing of having a Sarfraz Khan in that side in that test squad is to attack the spinners in the middle overs. Means obviously, and given that both Rishabh Pant and Sarfraz Khan in the middle, we saw a glimpse in the Duleep Trophy match that 71 run partnership between those two players in the middle, they'll almost rattle the India A bowling attack. Means and that is what they can bring into the table, playing aggressive shots, playing some orthodox shots, trying to unsettle the spinners. That is what Sarfaraz Khan and Rishabh Pant will bring into the test format. And yes, you might argue that KL Rahul is a much more accomplished batsman, but then Sarfaraz Khan with the pure mentality, means obviously he is someone who will always score, we will always give you runs. And in doing so, in trying to be over aggressive, he might give you the wickets, but at the same time, he will score runs and at a brisk rate. So that is why the selectors have stick it with Sarfaraz Khan ahead of a Shreyas Iyer, who has not looked good except for that second innings in the Duleep Trophy match.
And we can end the show with this question. Sports fan is asking, should Bumrah have been rested for the Bangladesh series ahead of the BGT?
You also want to see Bumrah in red ball, don't you? I mean, where has he played red ball? He's not. He's just come back and played some white ball matches. You don't want Bumrah to straight away go to Australia without any red ball. Because ultimately in Australia, he will have to bowl 15 to 20 overs a day. If you don't bowl 15 to 20 overs a day, then you're not test match material. And in Australia, on good batting decks, India will need to get Bumrah back for 3-4 spells. With the new ball, a couple of spells, after lunch, one spell, ahead of tea, one spell, then finish off the day. So you have to give Bumrah 15, 20 overs and see how he stays. In fact, give him rest against, in that test series against New Zealand if you want. But give him some red ball. You have to see how he stands up to that. And then give him a period of rest and take him to Australia after that. But without Bumrah, this team will not win in Australia. Let's be clear. Without Bumrah in that test side against Australia, if you think the last two series, Bumrah was stellar. Except that 21 last test when you had Natarajan and some of these fellows, Siraj and people stepping up. Bumrah was brilliant. You absolutely need Bumrah in red ball cricket to be able to make the WTC final. I think the selectors have done a fine job. They've got a left armer, they've got Bumrah, they will get Shami back for New Zealand. That's when they will rest Bumrah. So they'll get Shami a couple of Ranji Trophy games maybe for Bengal and then get Shami back into the team and give him some matches while Bumrah is rested. I think they've got a proper plan in place here and India will be ready as far as I'm concerned for that Australia series.
We
Incredible.
just add a
So,
point. If you just add a point in Bumrah, if it's fine. If you look at Jasprit Bumrah, leave it on Jasprit Bumrah. Here in Duleep Trophy, Akash Deep, Avesh Khan, they were all bowling in 120s, 125 in the first innings. That tells you, even if you bowl 100 overs in the nets, there's nothing like going out and bowling 15, 20 overs. That will give you that kind of rhythm. In the second inning, suddenly Avesh Khan was touching 137, 138. That is because he was able to bowl 15, 20 overs in the first inning. So, in the same context, you can't wrap Jasprit Bumrah in cotton wool for some 10 months and suddenly make him play in Australia. He will really struggle. Even if he's just with Bumrah, even if he's a great bowler, will struggle because he hasn't played test matches. So, it's fine that he's playing a test match or two because he will get back into some rhythm.
Gargi, before you end the show, I've just forwarded you something from the Paralympics. Play that, and then you can end the show. I've forwarded it to you. As you
oh
get that
yes.
ready for our viewers, this story. So we went to the village to meet Navdeep Singh, the javelin gold
Sure.
medalist from yesterday. So Navdeep brings a big Eiffel Tower with him, a kind of Eiffel Tower,
Souvenir, yeah.
one of those curios that he's bought. He forgets that and he goes away. That's a different story. Finally, we spotted it and we called a member of the contingent and said, "अरे नवदीप ने अपना Eiffel Tower का वो ये छोड़ दिया है, उसको लेके जाओ." But the guy comes, and obviously his memes of him cussing and using cuss words and abuses have gone viral, right? So I tell him, "यार, तुम क्यों गाली देते हो?" In full seriousness, he's telling me, "सर, testosterone level ना बहुत बढ़ जाता है, इसीलिए ना बोल देते हैं वो competition के समय." And then he says, who asked him this question? I think Rohan asked him this question. Yes, Rohan asked him this question. कि आपने तो वो record कर दिया Paralympic record, and that is when he came up with this gem of a story. He says, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था. सो मैं कोच साहब के पास गया और कोच साहब के पास जाके बोला, कोच साहब मैंने कितना फेंका? तो कोच साहब ने बोला 47.32. इसे हो ही नहीं सकता है, ये कभी हो ही नहीं सकता है. सो कोच सेड हाँ जरूर है. ही सेड माँ कसम खाओ, मेरे को बोलो माँ कसम. So the coach actually had to tell him माँ कसम in the middle of a Paralympic competition, and that is when he believed. You must play that reel, and I will also send you a photo. And when Trisha, Rohan, and I were laughing, this guy actually wanted to prove that he had asked the coach. So he showed us the photo of him saying Markasam. So I'm sending that and the reel. I've also sent you the reel. You play the reel. By that time, I'm sending you this photo.
I'm playing that reel. This is a wonderful story.
भाई अभी आपने वो कोच साहब का इंसिडेंट बोला, वो बताइए तो मेडल दिखा दो.
जब मैंने मेरा पहला थ्रो हिट किया और वो 46 मीटर गया था, परंतु मेरे को दिखा नहीं कि मैंने कितना हिट किया और ना मैं देख पाया. तो मैं जब सारा एग्रेशन अपना शांत होकर कोच के पास गया, कोच से पूछा कि कोच मैंने कितना थ्रो हिट किया. उन्होंने बोला 46.32. मैं अरे नहीं सर. बोला अरे हाँ माँ खाओ माँ कसम. बोले सच में. तो फिर मेरे को यकीन हुआ. तो सब फिर उसके बाद मेरे को था कि हाँ मैं अच्छा कर सकता हूँ.
Unbelievable.
Him
I've
saying,
sent you the
"Arey,
photo of him saying Markasam. Just show that photo to our viewers. Look at this. Look at this. Oh.
this is the funniest thing ever." I mean, imagine you're in the final, you're competing for the gold, and the player is making you do mark kasam. कि सच सच बताओ, why would you lie about something like that? But very funny story.
Something I can't say on the show. You finish the show and then I'll tell you another upbeat story.
Yeah. So incredible story to hear and to end this live with. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Keep supporting that sports. We're at the end of the Paralympics now. Not almost. It is over, but one of the best, not one of the best, the best Paralympics that India has had, and it was incredible to watch. And thank you for supporting us throughout. But stay tuned.